Hello, hello, hello. How we doing, my friends? What's going on? People, apologize. I'm just a minute late. I'm just a minute late. I don't intend for this to be a super long video, although, excuse me. Oops. Great start. Although I always say that, and then it goes longer and longer. And then it goes longer and longer and longer. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I want to discuss obviously some of the words and some of the things that have been said out there as of now, kind of contextualize it because I see people being a little bit confused about where we're at, about what the truth is about all of that with regards to Ruben Amorim, and so I want to change all of that. I want to try to clarify it as best as I can. I feel like I've tried. I feel like I've done a lot, but at the same time, I do understand that it's really hard to compartmentalize everything that you hear and read and everything, because it's not that simple. It's just not that simple. So, yeah.
The players have no choice but to perform.
100%. The players have no choice but to perform. I think that is one positive. I was saying the other day that one of the reasons that the club would not want it to be stated, and myself as well, would not want it to be stated or anything to be out there indicating Ruben Amorim leaving or anything like that, is because when you take a look at it, what it does is it removes somewhere for players to hide. And that is a genuine concern. That is a serious concern that we'll get back to. And I will forever disagree with people who think that somehow the players, the 11 guys who actually go out and play, are not a factor in how we perform, how we play, and whether we win games or not. So that is one factor. The players have no choice but to perform. Nowhere to hide. You can't just get the manager sacked so long as there is an idea that the manager isn't going anywhere and that's the message. You cannot sack it off. You cannot. And I think that's important. Thank you, Glenn. Appreciate that, buddy. So yeah, I think that's very meaningful. Now, I did a bit of a little members video the other day. I think it was yesterday. So thank you for all the members who watched all of that, and hope you've caught up with it. If you are, explaining certain extra details that I think were interesting. But this is what I want to talk about today. First and foremost is obviously this idea that the manager's here all season. At least that's the idea being presented in essence, is that Sir Jim would like to give him the whole season, but even more directly than that, a loss against Sunderland is not going to result in his sacking, was pretty explicitly stated by Laurie on that Athletic podcast. Now, I have to agree with pretty much all of that in terms of a take, because I think there's context within that. I think there's message within that, right? Sir Jim wanting to give him the whole season doesn't obviously assume that he will get the entire season. It doesn't mean that, right? But it does mean that he wants him to turn it around, that he wants him to fix it. So it's sort of like I said there. It's sort of true. A couple of factors in this. One, that doesn't mean he's not going to listen to football people. He will listen to football people. He will take their input. He, of course, has to have the final say, but those are the people who are going to give him that input. Now, at the moment, Wilcox has not said sack Ruben Amorim. So we're not at a point where anything's going on where the owner is like superseding the direction or the influence or the statements or whatever made by the people in the football club who are there to make those kinds of decisions. He's not superseding that. That's what you, in my view, don't want the owner to do in either direction. You don't want him to keep a manager just because they like him. You don't want them to get rid of a manager just because they don't like him. That being said, that pressure is on. The pressure is on. Even if Sir Jim wants to keep him, likes him, all of that kind of stuff, the pressure is on. I can assure you the pressure is on to get results, to improve things, and to change. You know, and to pick things up from where they are right now. That pressure is 100% on. I can tell you that for sure. So it's not safe. It's not like, oh, it's all good just because Sir Jim, and I don't think it was meant to be taken that way, frankly, when I listened to Laurie's thing. I think it's the point is that is the implication of it. That is the view of Sir Jim. That's where he would like to be. He would like to have the chance to give Ruben Amorim the season and more players and all of that to turn things around. He would like that. Obviously, he needs, in order to stand by that, he needs them to produce some results, to give some time to see belief that we're going to be on, that there's a reason to do that, that there's a good reason to do that, that there's something that we that we're going to get out of keeping it together, out of continuing in this process. So it's kind of like he wants to see that, but he also does need to see some belief coming back the other way, that there's a reason for that backing and that it's justifiable to feel that way and to want him to stay and to keep him and all that. So again, I think it's tough because people want it to be wrapped up in, again, these really, really neat little boxes and statements and things like that, and it's just not the case. It just doesn't really work that way. It's not a game by game. I was trying to explain that in this morning's video, and I don't know if I did or I didn't, to be quite honest. I don't know if I explained it well or I didn't explain it well, but like I was trying to, the whole point of what I was saying was like, look, we can't, like, it's not, well, lose to Sunderland, you're out, win against Sunderland, it's all okay. There is pressure, and it's like, it's just a matter of they do really, really want him to turn it around. They do, and they really want him to fix things. We'll see if he does. That's really it. We'll see if he does. Someone said it's not, if any manager lost 20 games in a row, that they would lose their job. It's not United. Well, I agree with you, and I also disagree with you. Okay. Last year, not last year. What am I saying? It wasn't last year. It was. I've used this example before, of course, but year was that? This year? Anyway, whatever. There was a point, right, where I think it was hold on. Yeah. What am I looking at? Hold on one second. Sorry, guys. I got really confused about something. Oh, yeah. I had the wrong year selected. My bad. I was looking at the wrong. No, Ben Jacobs doesn't. That's not. That's not it. Okay. That's not it. An irrelevant 35 to 38 games spread over the course of 2 seasons is not the judgment. They're judging him based on this season. They're judging him based on this season. Okay. They're judging him based on this season. With the money they spent, with the squad that they have, they're judging him based on this season. And so it's going to be dependent upon whether or not this season is any good and how long they can stomach this season, and whether they see positive signs this season or whether they believe this season he's going to be able to turn it around. Everything else is speculation. It is being judged on this season. That's why he'd like to give him the full season, because they tend to not want to sack a manager after 6 or 7 games or something like that in general, because he's being judged based on what he's doing right now this season. That's it. Okay. That's the reality of it. Okay. Anything else, I'm sorry, it's wrong. They are judging him on the basis of this season, period. Okay. That's it. So if this season is going bad enough that he deserves to be sacked, then he will be sacked on this season. That's where we're at. They didn't even have they didn't hire him on the basis last year of a target. There was, like, I've explained it 1,000 times, but so I don't know why people keep insisting upon that, but it's just not the case. Whether you agree or disagree, it's just not the case. But look, I mean, someone said if it's only at United that this would happen, and at other places you'd be sacked, and I would disagree. I mean, I would point out that this was Arsenal under Arteta. 14 points after 14 games in his first full season. And they didn't have good stats either. I mean, they were 14th in expected goals. They had a negative expected goal differential. They had scored 17th most goals in the league. 17th most goals in the league at that point. They'd conceded like somewhere around the middle. The defense was a little bit better. But, they were 15th in the league with 1 point per game by Christmas. Okay. 1 point per game by Christmas. And they were able to, and they wrote it out. Essentially, they wrote it out, and they said, we're going to keep it going, and we're going to see the change. Now, this is not to say that United are going to turn it around. What I'm talking about is that it's not true that it's somehow the standard is so much lower here. When they committed to the rebuild, and they said, we're going to go for it. Now, Arsenal, in the second half of that season, earned the 3rd most points, which is actually crazy. So 14 points from 14 games in their first 14, and then 24 games, 47 points in the second half. Well, not even the second half, but the second 24 teams. It's quite impressive in that respect. This wasn't a statement of, look at Arsenal, that means it's going to turn around for United because we've done enough. We've done enough. It was a COVID year, so doesn't that just tell you, that without the pressure of fans beating down their door to sack the manager, that they can make smarter decisions? But isn't that what that tells you? That they should ignore the fan pressure if it was a COVID year? Isn't that what that tells you in that respect? My point is that when a team committed to rebuilding, they let it happen. Doesn't mean it's going to turn around for another manager. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying that it's not United only. When Arsenal committed to rebuilding and sticking by a new manager, it worked for them. And they didn't sack him just because they had 7 games and they were low, okay? There was a ton of online noise then, but there were no fans in the stadiums. That is totally true. But I don't think it's particularly relevant. I mean, quite honestly, the more we talk and the more I hear it, I'm almost tempted to be like all in on backing the manager just because it annoys the crap out of me, a lot of the stuff that I hear. Just because. Sometimes I just like being contrarian. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I do just like being contrarian because I look at some of the takes and they make me so irritated in their wrongness that I'm like, and they're just factual wrongness and repainting of history that I'm almost like this whole Solskjaer thing going on right now, okay? This whole Solskjaer thing going on right now. In Solskjaer's first season, we spent 160 million or something like that. And he was taking over a team, by the way, the core of which finished in 5th and the previous year 2nd. So it was a more successful side. And in Solskjaer's first season, by November 20th, we were on 16 points after 12 games. By this point at that time, after 7 games, we were on 9 points. Okay. So in Solskjaer's first season, if we win against Sunderland, we'll have a bigger points total than Solskjaer had in his first season. And now I see people pining for Solskjaer as if everything was roses and was so much better back then. And now people just flip back and forth. And just spout the most nonsense. Now let's get Solskjaer back. Are you kidding me? Come on, guys. Thank you, Lexi. Welcome to the Pro Muppet. Levi. Sorry, my eyes didn't work. There's a Lexi I usually see in here. But thanks, Levi. Welcome to the Pro Muppet. His start was worse than Amorim's this season. Statistically as well. It wasn't great. It was slightly worse. The results were slightly worse. It was easier games. And it's just like, it's the vibes. And I get that. But it's like, do you guys not remember how that started as well? Do you guys not remember how that started as well? It started like crap. It started like crap. It started really, really bad. And he got bailed out essentially by getting Bruno in January because it was really poor. It was worse than this season. It actually was. You guys don't remember. Like, the difference is that a lot of people were willing to blame it on players. I remember everybody was like, oh my God, we've got Andreas Pereira, myself included, the worst number 10 in football. I still believe that, by the way. I despised Andreas Pereira. But like, we were at 13-point games, 17 points. That start was terrible. It was so bad. And again, that was taking over a better team. A better team. Right? Yes, bailed out by Bruno. Yeah, because what actually happened is we stuck by it and then got him the right player we needed to fix a gaping hole in January, and it was okay. Now everybody says the squad is crap. I know, we just do that every single time. We just do it every single time. Now we look back and say, well, no, their team was actually the worst, and now our team is the best. I'm sorry, but why? Why? What makes that team so much worse than ours? I mean, we're still playing Maguire and Shaw, except they're worse than they were back then. We're still playing Dalot compared to Wan-Bissaka. Oh my, well, what an improvement. It's a downgrade. I'm just saying, like,
people have short-term memory when it comes to United.
I think he had a top 5 team, as evidenced by the fact that we finished in top 5. And I think we have a top 5 team now, top 4. And that's where we should finish. So, but he had just as bad a start. Okay? That's my point. He still finished in the top 4, but had just as bad a start in the league that first full season. And we finished in the top 4. You know what I mean? And it's like, that was so it's to me, it's kind of the same thing. People they do. And then we twist and turn and shout and bop it and twist it, turn it. Anyway, my point is that let us not rewrite everything that happened. Okay? Let us not do that. We don't need to rewrite everything that has happened. I'm not asking for Solskjaer to come back. The league was totally different. Yeah, it was a fuckload easier too. It was a hell of a lot easier too, especially in the middle. It's like it's just it's just that I push back against, that I get really irritated by. Like, I don't want to get into all of that. Like, I'm not going back on all this stuff. I remember how it was. It wasn't that amazing. It wasn't that incredible. I get it. It was better than, it's like, it just doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. Right? Ollie had a bad start. Arteta had a really bad start. Does it mean Amorim with a bad start is turning it around? No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying that people just rewrite shit all the time. We don't need Solskjaer back. We don't need Solskjaer back. We don't need that kind of stuff. That's not going to be a solution. That's not the answer for any of that. You know what I'm saying? That's not what I'm talking about. At all. So I get fed up with that kinds of stuff because you say, hey, we're not doing great. And then the discussion just turns to endless circles of trying shit that isn't going to work, didn't work, and hasn't worked, and pretending that everything was okay in the past. It wasn't. The club has been in a decline for years up until this point. It's not at the same level. The club has been declining and declining and declining for a long time. On average, when you actually look at the trends of it beyond occasional seasons, it has been trending poorly for a long, long time. For ages, it's been going lower and lower and lower. But those things were not the answers at that time as well. Those were not the answers at that time as well. So that's not the right way to look at it. We're not going back in that way. The other thing out there is that why are they leaking that? Nobody's leaking that. People are bullshitting. Okay, listen to me right now. This is why I say I'm almost so irritated that it makes me flip the other way just to be contrarian. Whoever is saying Bruno's complaining about playing deeper is full of shit. They did not speak to Bruno about that. Okay, they've not spoken to Bruno about that. Bruno hasn't complained about his role. I've got complaints about Bruno and his performance. I've got complaints about Bruno and his performances and certain aspects. Bruno is not complaining about playing deeper. This is one of the bullshit things that makes me very, very annoyed in general, okay, is when people say shit like that, because it just becomes like every time, this is what I'm saying, every time something is going poorly, suddenly all of this stuff comes out, and most of it isn't true. Most of it isn't true at all. In fact, Bruno was playing deeper last year. Bruno was playing deeper before. He's been moving deeper over the course of his career for years since Solskjaer, by the way, even within a system. Bruno's been moving deeper and deeper over the course of his career on purpose. He doesn't have any complaints about that. All things aside, Bruno is not someone to complain about where he's playing and think he can't do it and be like, oh, well, I'm being played in this shitty role or something like that. That's not Bruno's attitude, to his credit, okay? And it's lame for people to throw that on him. He may be playing poorly in that role. He is not going to blame the coach ever for his performances. That's not who Bruno is. At least give him that much respect. Like I'm forced to be in defending, even though he's been poor. I'm forced into defending the bullshit that gets out there about, that actually is speaks very poorly of Bruno, because no good or top player actually particularly complains about where they are, that it's a little bit deeper, this or that. Okay. And he wasn't, and he hasn't. And that's just trying to stir up nonsense on different fronts. At all. When Solskjaer was getting sacked, I remember Solskjaer getting booed off the pitch by the fans, and Bruno standing behind Solskjaer and telling them not to boo the manager and to boo them, the players, that they're the ones responsible, that they're the ones who do all of this. Okay, so no, he's not complaining about playing deep. He's not complaining about any of that stuff. It's bullshit. It's nonsense. We don't need to hear it anymore. Those things don't matter. So this is just where I get irritated about the whole the whole subject, because it becomes blood in the water and chancers and people throwing shit out there that is just has no reality because it's unprovable in any sense. It's unprovable to talk about it. It's unprovable one way or another. But regardless, I'm telling you what it is anyway. But yeah, look, they want it to they want to turn it around. They want Ruben Amorim to turn it around. Army, stop it. I'm gonna you know what you're doing. So yeah. It is what it is. It is what it is. Let's look at a few things here. They want him to stay. They want him to stay. They want him to turn it around. They want him to do better. And like I've shared, they're looking at ways in which to assist him in making that happen. One thing that I have as one of the reasons why I'm completely desperate for this to work, even though I don't at the moment believe. I really want it to work. I really want it to somehow turn around. I really want it to go the right way, is because in the past, United have never had the level of support we have presently from the football department and the manager. From the football department for the manager, okay? They never have. At many clubs, they turn around. They can turn around some negative stuff. They can get things right. They can fix things. But regardless, at United, the manager has always been on their own because of a severe lack of structure. They've always been on their own because of a distinct lack of any sort of structure, support systems, data, analytics, everything that is actually used at most top clubs in order to assist them. So Jose comes in, he's on his own. No, there's nobody else. Ollie comes in, he's on his own. There's nobody else. Who's going to tell him how to play football? Ed Woodward? Who's going to assist him in figuring out and solving problems? Nobody. Even Ten Hag was the same in his defense on that front. Maybe Murtaugh was a little more of a football person, but we know we didn't have a data team. We didn't have an analytics team. We didn't have all of these teams actually in place for quite a long time. We finally do. We actually finally do. And I think that's because... And so I'm desperate for it to turn around because, to me, in the standpoint of the club, it would show now that we are capable of actually providing the support for a manager or a coach or somebody to turn it around. Okay. Now, a lot of that, again, most of it is on Amorim to listen, to accept, to be adaptable and able to change certain things. And I'm not talking about his system for the millionth time. Okay. So I want that to, I really hope it works. I really, really, really hope it works. Yes, Ten Hag, to be fair, to undefend Ten Hag, he wanted to get rid of anybody who was going to give him any advice. And he was wanting to kick him out of the club. It's one of the reasons I really didn't like him. But Amorim, I'm hoping he's not as stupidly stubborn in that respect and will. And again, a lot of this stuff has really only been in place for some months now, not a long time. Okay. My hope is because it would show that the club have, to me, it would show that there is a change at the club. That if we can turn around things, even in this situation, and utilize the data, the analytics, the experience, because our squad is not this bad for the results that we're getting. If we can turn it around, it would tell me that times are changing at United. And I don't know if that will happen, but it would fill me with extreme confidence if we could stop this slide, not saying like climb up and everything's grand and we have to win a title with Amorim or something, but if the club is capable of stopping this slide without just changing manager, which isn't going to solve everything, I'm not saying it won't help. If the club is capable of stopping this slide and turning it around and getting us on at least a positive direction, it will tell me personally that the structures, the support, the things that are in place are better than they used to be. And it's not just the same thing, because it's more than just the manager when a club is failing to the level that we are right now. It's more than that, especially with the quality of players and things like that that we do have. It's more than that. There should be more. There should be people in place that prevent managers from making so many mistakes. It should be like when Moyes got rid of Fergie's staff and things like that. That was a huge issue that we had. Whoever was to blame of all of that. You know, that we need to be having, I'm not saying the club are just offering their services. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is that the building up of United support staff has been an ongoing process, to be clear. When you talk about the data team, it's not like they were in place even when Amorim was hired. You know, the whole thing. That's been the analytics, the data, all of that has been rebuilt. A lot of people left and a lot of people have come in, and there's been, think about the new hires, that one guy from Mercedes. He's basically an executive. He's basically the executive level now. What's that guy's name? The guy from F1. That was not that long ago. You know, and his task was, of course, building and utilizing the data and applying it. And I look at that and I go, okay, so for me, that is a big task of setting that all up to actually have a team that supports and assists the coach, Sansoni, to support and assist the coach to help prevent mistakes, to try and stop them from the sliding so badly like this, and to turn things around, because you need to have a flooring where things can never get that bad. I don't care who you are or what club you're at. A manager should never be able to take this club down to 15th. You may disagree with me, but I think that's the case. In a modern football day, I don't think there's a manager that has actually managed at a professional level that should be able to make enough mistakes to take a club down to 15th place. I don't think that should be possible. Genuinely, because I think you should have systems and supports and things that could come in that would assist and help and get things right and change that and not allow things to get that bad. I genuinely believe that entirely. That's not taking responsibility off of Amorim, but I'm saying there's supports in place that should prevent things like this from getting that bad and should assist them. So it would be very encouraging to me if we could turn it around. Whether we will or we won't, I don't know. But to me, we can change the manager. Amorim can be 100% the wrong guy. Probably is. United, for me, won't look different. Won't be a different club, and I will have a hard time believing that we're back until I actually see something different from the past. Okay? That's the problem that I see, and that's kind of where that's the part that bothers me. And so when people are like, "Oh yeah, we'll just go redo something we've already done," no, because that's not the issue. It's a lot worse than that. There was a point under Solskjaer, I've said this in terms of insider info, and it was the thing that was the most frustrating to me, is that there was a point under Solskjaer where he had suggestions from coaches, from coaches like McKenna and Carrick and things on what should be done, other ideas in place, but didn't really know who to listen to, and ended up listening to, in my opinion, the wrong people. And that in the end cost him his job, when he had people that could have helped him evolve and move on to the next phase and get better and do more and improved. Okay. That's how most, and so there was just not there was just not a proper setup there. I know how the recruitment was and such back then. It literally was a free-for-all. It was a free-for-all. And it was like, who the hell is going to help Solskjaer get it right? And we ended up listening to the wrong people and getting it wrong. And it was like, well, yeah, it would have been nice if we'd had, but this is what director of footballs and technical directors and people are supposed to do. People think it's all recruitment. It's not. It's this kind of stuff as well. It's the meetings. It's to go over with the data. It's to go over with the analytics and all of that kinds of stuff, and to actually work together as a team, because more info, more view is better than one. The manager is the person who's there to, I think that's why obviously Sir Alex refreshed his staff and such so often, but he was also from a different age. We've gotten rid of everybody and have been replacing them. So I'm saying that as a club, regardless of Amorim, I would feel a lot more encouraged if I could see us turn something like this around, and arrest the slide and actually provide solutions that can improve things and get them implemented. And that is, to me, success is not just the manager. It is a lot more than that. I think when you point to Pep and Liverpool and all of that, it doesn't all happen without the assistance and guidance of other people involved there. And the transition from Klopp to Slott's no genius manager, as we can see. In fact, they're probably getting worse this year as they move towards more of his ideas rather than the previous group's ideas, and where he's gained influence because he won the title in that first season. They're looking worse and worse. I know it's short term, but they look like crap. His ideas are worse. Changing the midfield last year to what they have now with Wirtz is way worse than what they were doing before. So I'm just saying that it's a sign to me of whether the club is actually getting better or not if we can turn things like this around. And I'll remain very, if we change the manager, and that's fine, and put someone else in place, I'll be just as discouraged about the fact that, I'll be just as discouraged about the fact that we don't have a team in place yet, I don't believe, to actually turn things around. That's all. So that's how I see it. That being said, what does that mean? What does that mean to me? What do I want to see? What do I personally feel like I need to see? What do I personally think I need to see in order to know that there are changes? Because I don't know. There's things we obviously can't tell. There's going to be things behind the scenes, how they prepare for games, how they do stuff like that. We don't know. We're never going to have enough info to see that. From the off, these are sort of my non-negotiables to say, if this stuff isn't changing, then I don't have much hope, because these are so blatantly fucking obvious to me. All right. Number one is the goalkeeper. I need to see the change in goalkeeper. If we somehow still believe that Bayindir should be starting in net, then we're not doing our job. As a club, we're not doing our job. As a team, we're not doing our job. Okay? That I can be sure of myself. If Bayindir is still starting in goal, someone is like, either Amorim is turning down the advice, or somehow we're not getting it, because that is so blatantly obvious. There's almost no excuse for that to happen. There's just none. I'm not saying everything that I'm suggesting has to happen, because I'm not saying I know everything better than anybody else, but that is like so stupidly obvious that Lommans needs to start playing games. He was brought in to be the number one keeper. I know that. Andy Mitten confirmed that today, by the way, right? On the Talk of the Devils. He did talk about that, right? I saw that. I listened to that as well. Andy Mitten said he was brought in with the intention to be the number one goalkeeper. So please, let's just fucking do it, okay? Let's not dig our heels in on this thing. Let's get Let's get Lamans on the pitch. That's number one. The second thing is Lenny Yoro does not right now. Lenny Yoro, I can understand rotations and things like that with Lenny Yoro. Fine. Put him on the pitch. Doesn't matter. He's the guy. He's the guy. He's the guy. He's our best center back. Still, I know De Ligt has looked really good to start the season, but Lenny Yoro is the guy, and he needs to just keep playing. He just got to keep playing. But in addition, Lenny Yoro is the only center back with the pace to match the line that we want to play. True or not? He's the only center back we have with the recovery pace to fit a high line, which is supposedly what we want to do, to play a progressive, to play attacking, to play on the front foot and all of that. Lenny has to play. We don't have any other center back who can recover the way he can. So it doesn't match us up stylistically if he is not playing. It's wrong off the bat, even if we get lucky if Lenny Yoro isn't playing. I can make a case for different center backs for the third one, but Lenny and De Ligt have to start every game for me. They just have to. I can make a case for the third center back. Anyone but Shaw, I can make a case for the third center back, okay? Whether it's Heaven, whether it's Maguire in the middle, De Ligt and Yoro to either side. I can make a case for different things. I can make a case for Mazraoui when he's fit. I can make a case for lots of things, but no, for me, I can't. I don't like to be negatively,
but I genuinely believe how we can turn this around with this current squad, non-existing midfield, and no bite up front.
I think you're saying you don't genuinely believe we can. We do have, I think we have bite up front. I mean, Mbumo, Cunha, Sheshko, I think are really good players, and we have options off the bench as well. I don't think the midfield, obviously the midfield hasn't been good, but I think it just depends on your perspective on what we want to be. Again, I got you, but I understand that perspective, but I don't know. I think we have a good look. I'm not going to turn around and say that we have a terrible squad that can't do anything to defend Amorim, because I stand by how I feel about our squad as well. I'm just saying I can make a case for some other things. I'm not saying Maguire's the right guy. I'm just saying I can make a case for other things, but not Shaw. The third thing is, and this is actually probably should be at top of my list. This should be at the absolute top of my list. Okay. This is first and foremost wingbacks. They're attackers. You compromise that, just leave. Because even this, it's hard to explain this tactically, but even the midfield becomes more of a problem because of the cowardice with the wing backs. Because they drop deep, it puts even more pressure on the midfield. Instead of them being up, pushing, forcing midfielders on the opposition to move out wide and to move into different positions to try and block them, to try and guard them, to try and assist in what becomes a line of five, okay? If you can make a line of five, what have you done? You have forced the midfield to at least drop one player deeper into their own back line in order to account for the extra numbers, and that reduces your ability to be overloaded in the midfield. The minute you play defenders in that position, you overloading your own midfield, okay? I've gone on about it for months and months and months. It's my biggest criticism of Ruben Amorim. That, for me, is just awful. Stop playing defenders at wing back. It has to be a forward. I don't care what else you do. Put an attacker at wing back who is attack-minded, period. That's it. Okay? That's probably top of my list, to be quite honest. That and the keeper. Those are things that are, to me, completely inexcusable in that front. Okay? Those are the things that are semi-inexcusable. They're wingers. They're forwards. They're forwards. If you think of it as a 4-3-3, you have two wingers, you have a striker, and you have two number 8-10s. That's Cunha and Mbumo. You have wingers, and you have a striker. That's your attacking unit. The rest is all defenders. That's totally fine with me. Okay? But that is why we end up deep. That is why our midfield even can be gotten at a lot easier. That is why there tends to be too much space, is because of the conservative play from the wingbacks. Yeah, Lamin seems like he'd be unfazed, but Lamin's, when you look at him, he looks like nothing's going to bother him. Just fucking play him. For God's sake, just play him. So that's that aspect. That's what I want to see. Now, my negotiables here, because I don't care how you do it or what you do it. I don't care what way that it is done, but Bruno deep is not working defensively. It's so bad. It's so bad defensively with Bruno deep. Drop him or move him up front. I don't care if you rotate the front three through Bruno, Cunha, Mbumo, Šeško, Mount, and Xerxes. Use those 6 players in your front three and sort the rest out. Use those players and sort the rest out. And what that also means is, if you don't have a wing back available, stick Brian Mbumo out there, out wide, put Bruno in the front three, and put someone else in the 10 next to him. And you have options, and you don't have to go weak, and you don't have... It doesn't matter. Just move Bruno out of the deep midfield. It's so bad defensively. It's so bad out of possession. It is impossible for any partner of his to do the job. It is impossible. It's actually impossible for anyone to do the job there. So I don't. You don't have to drop Bruno, but do it somewhere else. Okay, drop him. Don't drop him. Move him forward. Just do it somewhere else. Just do it somewhere else. His passing, yes, his passing completion range. You can't be that erratic at that position, even with the ball. It's just, you just can't. Don't say he won't do it. I know. I'm not saying he will. These are my things. My non-negotiables are the wingbacks, Lamens, and Yoro. My negotiables, because I don't care how you do it, moving Bruno out of there. In the midfield, play any combination of the 3 of Ugarte, Casemiro, and Mainu together every game. I don't care what combination. Change it, rotate it, switch it, do all that. I would definitely like to see a lot more Kobe Mainu, but just play some combination of the 3. Don't care. Doesn't matter to me. I know Casemiro has usages as a sitter and all of that. Play him with Ugarte. It was very solid before. Play him with Mainu. I think it has potential to work. Play Mainu and Ugarte together for more energy. Don't care. Just do something different to that and just work through those 3. So I don't care how that is done. I don't care how that is done, but do it. These are things that to me are almost complete non-negotiables, like that will tell me that advice is being provided and taken on board that would actually help things. I'm sure there's more adjustments. Maybe I'm sure there's things I can't even think of at the moment, or that I don't know at the moment, or that I don't believe at the moment, or whatever. We're getting Bruno and Casemiro. Probably. I mean, Bruno and Casemiro works a little better, as I kind of showed last week. It genuinely does work better. If you were to fix everything else, the wingbacks, the keeper, the back line, you can get away with Bruno and Casemiro. But I still think it's stupid. I still don't think it's I think we need to persist with something different. No. Of those 3 players, I want 2 of them, Sohail. So I want 2 of those 3 in there. If you don't have the players in a position because of injuries or something like that, stick a motherfucker from the academy over there. Anything. Use the youth players. Do something. You could get Cunha, Bruno, Šeško, and Mbumo Mainu on the pitch. Yeah, you could. You totally could. Cunha, Šeško, Bruno, Mbumo, Mainu, Ugarte, or Casemiro. And you'd have all of them on the pitch at the same time, and it would be wonderful. But yeah, all these other things are... Because if you go with... like, let's say you go with Mainu and Ugarte as the midfield, right? If you go with Dowlow out wide, we're screwed again. That's what happened at Grimsby. Dowlow just absolutely stunk it up. So did Ahmad, unfortunately, that day, turning the ball over in awful positions and put the midfield under undue and excess pressure constantly. So then the midfield doesn't work. But it tends to more often be a failure of the wide players to do things, and the center backs. To be fair, Fredrickson was really bad on that day. But it's like that. Don't because that's where it frustrates me. We pick Menu and Ugarte for one game, and then we throw Dowlow out wide and Fredrickson behind him, and I'm like, well, yeah, thank you. That wasn't the best idea. I mean, still they should have beat Grimsby, but that's part of the reason it was awful. Why did you say it would be wonderful? Sometimes I accidentally slip into like almost like a Trump mimicky voice because I find it funny, but yeah. Yeah. But no, those are my things. Those are my things. That's what I think. That's my view. So, Lamens and wing backs, Yarrow, and do something with the midfield. And I genuinely think we will win. And we'll perform well and we'll get some consistency. And if we don't win every game, it's okay. Just keep going. As long as you're doing that, we will see good performances and we will do better. We will do better. So that's what I hope. That's what I want to see. That's what I hope. Okay? Yeah. I want to ask I want to do one poll before we end it here. Let's see. Goalkeeper, Bruno Deep, like what thing you want to change? If you had to pick one thing, I'm just curious, what's the biggest thing people are like worried about? I'm just giving you 4 options. Which one of these do you think is the biggest thing that you want to see changed? I would imagine this has potential to be very split. Because they're all bad. Removing the fear. I think some of the players that we have, some of these options there are a reason for fear. We need all of the above. Yeah. Well, I think most people would agree with all, but I think most people would agree with all. I'm just asking. I'm just more curious. Like, if you had to pick one, what would be the biggest problem to you? It's purely out of curiosity. I have no reason actually for asking this. It's close between Bayendier and Bruno Deep, but there's enough votes for the defensive wingback thing too. No one thing. No, I agree. No one thing will. I'm just curious what people think is the biggest problem. If it was just one thing, like I'm not. It's all of them, obviously, but I'm curious to how people feel about it. Yeah, how did Bruno get Player of the Month for September? Like, genuinely, there's times when I'm like, all right, we've been crap, but fine. Bruno's been okay. But how on earth did he win Player of the Month? For what? Sorry? Like, not even being like extra rude on Bruno, but why? Like, at all, why? What possible reason was there for him to win Player of the Month? It was easy. It was like De Ligt or nobody, right? I mean, in my opinion, anyway. De Ligt, maybe Mbumo, I don't know, but that's it. Like, there's zero reason for Bruno to have gotten any votes in that. I have no idea what the hell people are smoking when they vote for that. If it was a vote, Mbumo or De Ligt for sure, but Mbumo like maybe.
Do we get a different team
because he had a few
selection
pretty good
Saturday?
games in there. That's what we're talking about, and I hope so, Durand. I hope so. But De Ligt is the obvious one for me. Like, how is the captain getting voted player of the month when the team's shit? That just doesn't make any sense. Anyway. All right. There you go. Well, I'm going to end it here. Interesting stuff. By Yindir, Bruno Deep about the same. Okay. Agreed. Well, let's hope. Let's hope. That's all we've got is hope. You know, we're going to turn it around because we're going to see a bit more of United right now. So we're going to see a bit more of Amorim. So let's hope something can be turned around. Okay. Let's hope. I'm hopeful that we'll see changes. I'm not hopeful really in general at the moment, but I hope we see changes. On your way out, make sure to like the video. I'll be back tomorrow. We'll do our vote for the weekend. We'll do all sorts of different things tomorrow, a few different videos coming, and then we will be back for the game on Saturday. Okay? See you all later, everybody. Enjoy your day. Have a good time. Enjoy your evening. Goodbye.